the channel. It's June 30th, 2025, and Todd McFarlane is batting down the hatches as we got a Powertown update.
Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering?
Whoa, stop the clock before the clock even started. Here we are breaking into the beginning of this very Powertown video update as I film the whole thing, get it all edited, getting ready to post it, and bam, Powertown, knowing there was going to be a lot of confusion, probably a lot of damage control being done. That's why they sent out a little note on their social media. So kudos to them. And in this readout, and I'm going to read this little memo they sent out, and they threw a little bit of shade at the major pod, it seems like to me, but I'm going to read it here and I'll post it so you can read along. June 30th, June, beautiful this time of year. The released Powertown pre-production images of Ultras Series 2 and TNA wrestling action figures represent work in progress. Remco figures our final production will be shipped via air freight to our fulfillment warehouse shortly. Air freight, that's interesting as well, when they were supposedly on the water in January. I don't know what happened there. We had anticipated that the above was to be clearly communicated when the images were released, so I guess that's the shade they're throwing at the major pod. We see what you see as we navigate work in progress. The figures have numerous changes and improvements that are in various stages: body and head modifications, skin tone, hair color, deco, etc., etc., etc. If we had released developmental images of Ultras 1 and Cardona Myers, you would have had the same concerns and reactions. Just ask Matt and Brian. Well, you can release these kind of things saying they're work in progress. I mean, there's no problem with that. You just got to clearly state the fact of what's going on. We want to assure our community that Powertown has not changed manufacturing partners. We remain proudly partnered with the Lucky Group. I think they're make jeans, if I'm not mistaken. One of the most skilled and respected action figure factories in China. Adjustments are currently underway to ensure incredible accuracy and authenticity. These refinements are part of our ongoing commitment to the same level of quality and craftsmanship seen in Ultra Series 1, Cardona Myers 2-pack. The end result will be exactly what you expect, so kudos to them if that is the case. As always, we appreciate your passion and support, as noted above. Had we shared early production photos during previous releases, you would have seen how much evolves before final delivery, but bring us along the process. This isn't Mattel. This isn't any of the bigger toy companies. It's a smaller toy company. Make us feel we're a part of it, and clearly show us these things, and then tell us when you show them along the way, and there won't be any confusion. Again, the finished figures we receive will unequivocally meet the high standards collectors expect from Powertown, from Team Powertown. So, answer some things, maybe not, but it's just, I asked a lot more questions too. I don't understand this whole Remco business. When they were supposed to be in our hands in the fall, supposed to be on the boat in January, now they're getting air flown over. I don't understand that, and I don't understand what the delay was on the Ultras and, of course, TNA Series 2. So a lot of that still isn't answered in here. Probably will never find out, but enjoy the video.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
Welcome, everyone. Kyle here, and it is June 30th, 2025, and I can't believe my eyes. Today, we've got a Powertown update. Of course, Boomerang, relatively worldwide, Powertown. Call them what you will. We've discussed them a lot on the channel. And Todd McFarlane, there are some people that say I talk about Powertown too much, but I say I've got over $1,000 tied up in Powertown, so I want my figures and I want to talk about it. There you go. But some people say I talk about them way, way too much and that they would cancel my figures and all this. And I guess if they want to, they can. But I gave them my hard-earned money. So with that comes me being able to comment on them. And I think I have been very fair. I have brought them up every single week looking for updates. They've been on the clock for a long time. Well, today we finally got updates, kinda, and we're going to go through it. And I'm going to give my opinions in this video here today. So, of course, like I said, June 30th, 2025, we should have had the Remcos in hand in January. Did not happen. The company said, oh, they're on the water, they're almost here. Not to be the case, unfortunately. The Remco's now shipping in July 2025, supposedly. And we're going to dive into all of these things here. And I guess before I get into it, you know what? You should always start positive. That's one thing I've learned in all my years of, managing employees, things like that. You always start positive, then you bring up the negative, and you work your way through it all, of course. But we're going to start with the positive of Powertown here. First positive, we finally got an update. And this is through our friends over there at the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. Apparently, they're going to talk about it on their podcast this week. So I'm very anxious to hear some of the feedback on that. But the Major Pod did post on all their social media platforms. Check them out on, the X, the Instagram, Facebook. You guys get the drill by now. You know where the Major Podcast is. But they posted pictures of the Remcos, the Ultras Series 2, and the TNA figures. Now, this is something I've been championing for a long time. I know Brian Myers from the Major Pod said he saw photos of these long ago. So, not sure the disconnect there, why they couldn't show these, why they did not show these over the last year plus, especially in the Remco case, why we didn't get these images, and why did they go to the Major Pod? This is just one of those weird things, dare I say a conspiracy, Todd McFarlane from the couch, but it is very, very strange that they went the avenue of the Major Pod to show everything, and nothing against the Major Pod. They're the creme de la creme, I should say. They're the big ones out there. However, you're Powertown. You have your own social media. You have your own website. You have your own email. Now, things could change after I film this video. Maybe they'll post that stuff there. But the images we have are full-on Major Pod watermarks. They're for the Major Pod. It is what it is. Very, very strange to me. If I'm Powertown, I put my business hat on. Hey, it's great for Major Pod. It's great for Kyle to talk about this stuff because you're talking about our things. Maybe you'll gain some extra sales. I don't know in this case, but it's possible. But why wouldn't you put it out to your customers that paid their hard-earned money to you? I didn't pay these to the Major Pod. What if I hate the Major Pod? Or what if the Major Pod blocked me from all social media and I can't see their posts or something like that? I'm just flapping in the wind still. Obviously, pictures get around and get that whole rigmarole. But it is strange to me, if you're the company, you think you'd want to show off your wares, you'd want to update your customers. These aren't Major Pod's customers. These are the Powertown, Boomerang, whatever it may be, customers here. So, very strange there. I don't get that at all. I'm not understanding that. It's a weird disconnect. Like, did they lose the login to their website and social media? I don't understand what's going on. I am still thankful, though, we got pictures. That is good, but it's a weird business practice not to support the people that paid you the money, showing them directly on your social medias or email blast, or, dare I say, your website as well. And the website's still not updated as I'm filming this. Still shows April delivery. We're long past April at this point here. But we're going to start with the positive. And I thought out of all the three groups of pictures, the most positive was definitely the Remcos. Now, the Remcos, like I said, were supposed to ship, I believe, well, first off, they were supposed to ship last fall. Then they got delayed to, they thought, January timeframe. There was even messages going around, they're on the water, they should be here any day now. And then all of a sudden, months keep rolling by. Now, I will say, who's been saying this to everybody since the get-go, that these things are delayed, there's going to be issues, I've been saying this for well over a year here, and I'm like a young Nostradamus, it's all come true. I don't want it to come true. I am the champion of this brand. I've said since the day these were first ever announced with Series 1, I have such high hopes for Powertown. I want this to be my modern-day Jakks Classic Superstars. Unfortunately, it's not working out quite well for me or for you if you're after these figures too. But unfortunately, the Remcos did not ship in the early parts of 2025. Did not even ship in the March, April. Obviously now they're saying they're going to ship in July. So I don't know. That's this month. Now, are they shipping to us in July? Are they shipping on the container from China in July? That's a big difference between those. If it's shipping from China, I would say September is probably our best chance because it's got to come all the way to the ports, get unboxed, go to Gulf Shores, Alabama, beautiful this time of year, get processed, get sent out, delivered, all that kind of stuff. So we're not out of the water yet on this one here, but man, I hope they're coming to our doorstep in July. That would be absolutely amazing. And I got to say, these Remcos look fabulous. Now, I think one thing that helps the Remco, and we're going to get into a TNA Ultras and Ultras Series 2, we're going to get into that. They're more cartoony. They're more the WWE Superstars He-Man style figures. So you got a little bit more of an artistic license with that style of figure. They don't look like true effects, real scan, like we're used to with maybe some of the Mattel figures, Jazzwares figures, so on and so forth there. So we definitely got some images of the Remcos. The packaging looks fabulous. We saw these at Toy Fair once upon a time. Wild they brought those to Toy Fair and there was kind of like bootleg shots of the table. Why they didn't show this then, I don't understand that at all. But these things do look good in the package. Of course, I should run down the Remcos, of course, who we got. I got it all written down right here. It's been so long, it's hard to remember at this point, but we got Bobo Brazil, we got Nick Bockwinkel, we got the Rock and Roll Express, Tully Blanchard, Magnum TA, Tito Santana, The Missing Link, and one Hacksaw Jim Duggan, celebrating 4th of July here, of course, with Hacksaw soon, but expected to ship to us in July. Now, these look absolutely fabulous. I think the packaging looks amazing. I love everything about these from these pictures we're seeing right here. Hold up very well to, of course, the images we saw. Now, the Remcos looking amazing. Now, unfortunately, some of the challenges hit us right in the face here. Things go south in a hurry, and I guess we'll start with TNA Series 1. TNA Series 1 is Moose, Jordan Grace, Eddie Edwards, and of course, Josh Alexander. Now, Josh is no longer with them anymore. Jordan Grace no longer with them. So Moose and Eddie Edwards, the only two TNA performers with them currently here. But, you know, there's a crossover and understandable. We know how that goes. We see that with Jazzwares all the time. So Powertown's not alone in this. I don't fault them for that. But unfortunately, they did announce the TNA Series 1, Ultra Series 2 shipping this fall. So shipping in the fall time frame. What are we doing there? Now, they said summer on their last update. They sent out that email, and that was the update. They're coming in summer. Now they're not coming summer. So delay, 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 delay. Will they come in the fall? I gotta believe it. Now, I've said from the get-go, I truly believe we'll get these figures eventually. There's a lot of people out there, maybe you're one of them, saying we will never see these figures ever. I don't think that's the case. I don't think they're going to go the Megalopolis premium DNA route, but it's happened before. Luckily for me, I wasn't affected by the Megalopolis whole thing with the earthworm gyms and everything else under the sun. Maybe you were, and if you were, I could understand how you could be very nervous about this. But I think, I have to think, whatever it comes down to, Greg Gagne, Magnum TA, you think they have to respect their name out there a little bit? You would think they wouldn't want any more bad publicity than's right here. And if push came to shove, they would put their own financial money in there just to save their reputation. I mean, that's what I would do, but I guess it depends what kind of money you're playing with, what you're looking at. But I'd want to save my reputation at all costs. So I really do believe these will ship to us. I know there's some people says we'll never see them. I don't know if we'll see them this year, but I think we will see these ones. But the TNA ones, unfortunately, a lot of people are screaming that it's a big bait and switch. Now, I've said for last year, once again, have they lost their factory? Are they moving to a new factory? Is that part of the delays? Could they not hit the minimum order requirements? That's why they reopened the toy line so many times. And then they said, last chance to buy, last chance to buy. It was never the last chance. You can still pre-order them right now. My gut tells me they could never hit the minimum order requirements with that factory. And they went to another factory and they got these through, but in return to, because of not hitting the requirements, they had to dumb some things down, as unfortunately these figures took a huge hit. There is people just screaming about how bad these look. Now, I wouldn't say they're the worst looking wrestling figures I've ever seen in my life, but they are definitely a far cry from the original promo images. Now, we got to remember those original images were digital renders. However, we see kind of what Mattel does with their renders. We see there's usually not this big of a jump backwards. Now, if I compare these in my head, I look at these pictures that we got, I compare them to Ultra Series 1, there is a definite step back in quality. Now, I've always had issue with Powertown since the get-go. I love the figures. I love what they're doing. I love what they're trying to do. I did not like the pins. Obviously, you know I hate pins. Todd McFarlane knows that better than anybody. I hate pin joints. Personal preference. Single joints, I don't prefer that either. Once again, personal preference. Small hands, I really struggled with. I felt like the hands and the feet were too small in these Powertown figures. That is continuing here. So it is what it is. They are consistent in that aspect. It's their toy line. They can do it however they want to. That's just my little gripes with the figures there. Outside of that, I think the figures look fabulous. I love the face details on Series 1, the Matt and Brian's, the Kerry Von Erich special one. I think they're great figures. I love the figures. Very happy to have them in my collection. But now we're looking at TNA, and I guess I'll throw Ultra Series 2 in here. We've taken a step back. I can see a clear step back in the faces. I hate to pick on FTC, but FTC, of course, known for their Jakks Deluxe Aggression hybrid figures over the years. They do not make those anymore. Very similar to that. That's what the quality kind of looks like to me. The facial structure, I'm going to pick on Medusa. We're going to dive into Ultra Series 2. We're going to go back and forth between the two. But I look at that Medusa face sculpt there. It looks like those fan audience members FTC has produced. Nothing wrong with those figures. They're a little cartoony, but they're supposed to work in all different worlds as background characters. That's kind of what these feel like to me, or I should say look like in the facial area. They just don't look like they're quite there. It doesn't look like, I mean, okay, I think I know that's Moose, but I'm not sure if I know that's Moose. That's where my brain goes when I look at some of these pictures here. So it is a very tough one when you compare the original images we saw of Ultra Series 2 to what we were shown here today. Now, I haven't seen Jerry Briscoe and Dory Funk Jr. I didn't see pictures of those. Are they delayed? Is there something going on? Are we not all the way through the process to be able to show those? I'm not sure right there either. Hopefully they get those answers. Hopefully the major pod gets some of these answers this week for us, because they do have a direct line to Powertown, as we have seen over the years, like a lot of us do not, unfortunately, there. But it definitely is rough in the style, definitely dumbed down figures here, and that is unfortunate, because a lot of us, myself included, put our hard-earned money down thinking we were going to get the quality of the first run, and unfortunately it's a big step back. Now, they're not the first company to ever do steps back and take a dive off in quality and stuff, but this is a very big difference. At least it is to me personally. Now, we got to remember too, these figures are like $60 a piece on these Ultras and stuff. They are pricey figures. These aren't $25 Mattel figures. They're more than double that. So you're expecting a little bit more, but as we always say it on the channel, Todd McFarlane knows it all too well. This isn't Mattel, and nobody should be able to compare Mattel and Powertown, because you got one of the biggest toy organizations in the world to, I don't want to say one of the smallest, but on the smaller end of the spectrum. You got to call it apples to apples. It is not. So we have to remember that. So it's going to cost more, but with it costing more, I got to think it should have been better. It should have been at least to the quality of Series 1, because that's what we got into this with our Series 1 quality. Now, we've talked for years at this point on the channel about trying to cancel figures, the broken figures, the coins, all that hubbub, which gives that huge dark cloud all over all of this. Now, I can see somebody saying, everybody's mad because of the weight. No matter what they put out, people would be just crapping all over it. And I see that a little bit. It's kind of like the Bret Hart face. I think there's been improvements with Mattel with Bret Hart's face, but there's still people in every single video all over the Facebook groups. They're terrible, they're terrible, they're terrible. Same thing with Powertown. They really can't win at this point, unfortunately, no matter what they do with everyone. There's no way to get a huge slam dunk out of it. It's beyond that at this point. So no matter what they come out with, if these would have looked perfect, I think people would have been saying, oh, these look terrible. These are terrible figures, all that. They brought it on themselves, unfortunately. You hate to say that, but I think that's where we're at with TNA and the Ultra Series 2, and maybe even the Remcos a little bit. And one other caveat I should say, I say it all the time on the channel, when we look at Mattel renders, Jazzwares renders, Hasbro's, whoever, let's see how it is when we get it here at the table. A lot of times it doesn't correlate between the two. There's something amiss, whatever the camera lens, whatever it may be. What you get at the table, this very table right here where I sit, that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where we figure out if they're real good or they're not. And we will do that. We will give them their fair shake. And on top of all the shenanigans, everything else, I just want my figures, and I want my figures now. You can't have it right now. But July for Remco's, fall for Ultras. Diving into this, like JYD right there, he looks like Lamont from Sanford & Son. I don't know what's going on with that one. It just is a far cry from the JYD we saw before. I mean, the chain obviously calls to JYD, but if I look at him in the face, it doesn't feel JYD to me. Maybe you guys tell me if I'm wrong. You guys give your shout out in the comments. Let me know. Same thing with Medusa. Medusa looks pretty rough. It looks like she's not as chesty as she was in the digital sample. And there's something that was lost in the face on that one. I don't know what it is. Now, I do like the patriotic gear. This would have been perfect to have this year for 4th of July. Could have been in a countdown, a list, something like that. But unfortunately not the case, but totally lost. And I don't know if anybody would know that's Medusa. Unless you're an old school fan, somebody hands that to somebody, I don't think they're clamoring that's Medusa there. Now, we did see Kamala. Kamala's okay. Now, we talk about this with Jazzwares, some of the other companies. When you have a face paint or mask, sometimes it hides some of the imperfections in the face. And I think Kamala with the added mask looks very nice. The body style is interesting, but once again, it doesn't look as good as the digital render we saw. And that's always disappointing when it just doesn't quite correlate between them. Now, you know there's going to be some slippage, but it looks like there's a lot of slippage between these ones here. But Moonbelly Kamala is there. He's a little skinny too, maybe. I don't know. We'll see it when it's on the table. It's hard to check from just this one, but it may be a hair skinny. We'll see where that ends up going. Chief Wahoo McDaniel, we say Wahoo, of course. Once again, a good-looking figure, maybe one of the better ones of these render pictures, I think. I like the Wahoo headdress on this one. I like the necklace going on. It looks enough like Wahoo to be dangerous. It's missing a little bit of the lines in the face, maybe for a real Wahoo, but close enough to be dangerous. Not terrible right there. But I think that's it. Isn't that it for everybody? Like I said, we haven't seen Dory Funk. We haven't seen Jerry Briscoe. So I don't know if I just missed those pictures. They didn't release those yet. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. But I can't wait to see them. I hope we see them sooner rather than later. But getting into the TNA, and I think that's where the most concern comes to, is from TNA. Some of these heads are just really rough. And I've always been a champion. I don't care if Super 7 does it, whoever. I don't like open mouth, tongue out action figure heads like Jordan Grace, Eddie Edwards, Moose. Luckily, we got multiple heads, so you don't have to use those. But I think all of them look really weak in these images we saw here today. I don't really like any of those overly the top expression faces there. But Moose just looks like a totally different guy in the face. They lost a lot of the stuff that brings this Moose. It just looks kind of like a plain flat face. Obviously no hair, nothing like that. It's just very plain. So it really struggles for me. And Jordan Grace, really rough in that face as well. I don't know if Jordan Grace would be happy looking at that one there, especially the tongue out head. Really, really rough. Same thing with Eddie Edwards. I just don't, that doesn't correlate with me, unfortunately. So it was like, you want to say nice try, but maybe go back to the wheelhouse and try it again. But I don't know. I have to assume these are in production right now. But you know what happens when you assume, Todd McFarlane? I don't know what's going on. It's just a big, big miss. It's a far cry. And I think that if I had to rank them, Remco is the best. Ultras 2 is the second best, and TNA is the worst out of these three here. TNA just can't seem to catch a break in the action figure line, and Powertown I don't think is going to be catching any breaks, and unfortunately I think they brought a lot of that on themselves. I don't know how they come out with TNA Ultras 3, TNA, or Ultras Series 3, TNA Series 2, or Remco Series 2. I just don't know if anybody will pre-order them. And I don't know anything once again, but if they were trouble hitting the minimum order requirements, getting the capital, they had to dumb these down possibly because they didn't have that. How are they going to do that in the future? It's just very, very sad because I've said it since the beginning. I wanted this line to be everything. This was what I've been looking for in a toy line, and it just kind of fell between my fingertips is what it feels like. And yours as well, I'm sure, if you're watching this video here. But I don't know where this goes. I don't know. Josh Alexander, I forgot to mention that, of course, over in AEW now. Once again, a little bit rough in the head sculpt department. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. And I don't know. These could still be a little, are these actual action figure samples? I'm just going off pictures. I haven't heard any discussion, any details on that. It's ramblings of a madman, diary of a madman, like a young Ozzy playing his last show this weekend. We'll see how that goes too. But man, oh man, I got to say, I am very disappointed on this stuff. I'm very disappointed that it looks like a lot of the stuff is not going to be summer now. It is going to be fall. Remco's in July, going to be very interesting if they hit that timeline. It's very scary. Fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times. I don't know how many times. The Who said won't get fooled again is what they said. But I might be fooled again. But we'll see if this comes in July. I would not bet my house on it. I would not hold my breath on it, but I am very hopeful. And as I said from the top, the Remcos look the most promising of all these. Maybe they ditch the Ultras line and just stick to the Remcos. Might not be a bad piece of business, but once again, we're going to wait till they hit my table to give a final thought here. I am just happy we got some images finally after all this time screaming and yelling about them. Apparently they've been out there for a while. Once again, Brian Myers saw them months ago. Don't know why it took so long. Still not sure why you'd go just to the major pod. Obviously, you want to get them to the major pod, but put them on your own website. Put them on your own social media. Very, very strange business hat stuff going on there. But man, I would love it when all is said and done and the dust settles to see a book on Powertown. Somebody write this book, give us the story, give us the ups and downs, and let's get to the true story of what really went on. Because I know people say it's not a conspiracy, but it kind of is. There are so many moving pieces, so many fibs, lies, whatever you want to call it. There's money taking place, going back and forth, pre-orders, delays, confusion. It's a wild thing. And I think conspiracy is about the best at this point because we don't see any other toy line in existence with this many issues, this many weird happenings around it. I refuse to believe it is just straight up bad luck. I just can't believe there's got to be more to the story here. And you know what Jesse Ventura says? Todd McFarlane, Mark Summers, we say it all the time, follow the money or lack of money, and that'll get you to your answer at the end. There's no doubt. So we're going to hope for the best. We're going to keep those fingers crossed. I can't wait to see those Remcos, hopefully by the end of July. We'll see. We'll stay tuned. But an interesting update today that maybe made more questions than answers in a lot of ways, which is always confusing as well. But I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on Powertown. Where do you take this info here? Are you excited? Are you happy? Do you think these are great looking figures? Are you really let down? Do you wish you would have never pre-ordered? Are you happy you didn't pre-order? I hear that all the time. I'm glad I didn't give them any of my money. Have you changed that stance? Has anybody changed that stance? I wonder if everybody agrees with me that the Remcos look the best out of the bunch of all these pictures we've seen so far. I think these Remcos look like an absolute slam dunk. I'm not sure on the other ones. They just look really, really rough and a step back from Series 1 for sure. But I'd love to hear everything you guys think about in the comments down below. And of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day and then some. We got even more content for you, of course, on Patreon and YouTube channel memberships, early access, giveaways, monthly Q&As, you name it, all going down over there. And it does support the channel. It's the best way to at the end of the day. Check out Sir Paul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and TheKylePetersonShow at gmail.com. My brand new podcast each and every single Tuesday, wherever podcasts are found, with video cast on YouTube. A lot going on over there. A lot of business hat talk, a lot of things going on. Check out the podcast if you have not already. So for a disappointing or maybe a very exciting Powertown update, depending where you sit, and you know where I sit right here at this table, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?